Good morning and welcome to the show. We have the pleasure of having Max, founder, CEO of Because Bitcoin, in my opinion, one of the top market and news outlets there is in the entire space. Super pumped to have you here. How is your day treating you so far?
Oh, Brandon, I'm doing well, man. Another boring day in crypto, but we fill our days somewhat constructively, trying to work on a few things, look for setups and I don't know, weather's getting nice here, so played some golf yesterday, might play this afternoon. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm in the Northwest, so
All
weather
right.
is a real blessing. It only exists good for about 3 months out of the whole year. So the second the
Yeah.
sun comes out, the only negative is it's great, but the negative is there's just a tremendous amount of guilt if you're not immediately outside and every day you don't do something active when it's sunny, you
Mhm.
just pure guilt.
I feel that for sure. I definitely feel that. And being in crypto is kind of the antithesis of that, man. It's like the meme about us just like sitting inside staring at blue light all day is an all too real phenomenon. So my wife helps me get outside. She's like, "You log off, like put the phone away, get outside." You know, it's good.
Yeah, that you gotta have people like that because, yeah, I just had a daughter in January and pre the family life, even in the family life, it's hard because you fight between your base instinct of obsessive, all the time, locked in, ready to go anytime, like, you're basically ready to play this game at any moment if you've been in for a while, and,
Mhm.
you can't quite do that with the family life, especially with the newborn life. It's this real tear apart of your insides of like, who am I now? I
Yeah.
can't just be that all in all the time person.
Yeah. I'd say the balance takes a little bit of work. Congratulations, by the way. That's amazing.
Yeah,
How old
it's
is your
been
daughter now?
crazy. Just she's creeping up on 5 months now.
And this is number 1 for you?
This is number one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations. It's fun. I would say for dads, it's like they don't really need you for a little bit. You're kind of just like a solid backup, you're like a really solid number 2. Um, but it gets to be real like every month that goes by, it becomes more fun in my experience. Like one day they'll just kind of wake up and be like, "Oh, you're like really cool. Okay, I didn't notice you for a while." I just needed
Yeah.
mom, but yeah.
The first 3 months were it was just a blob. Like it was this blob that yelled at me and cried, and I had the night shift, so I was just like, "What is going on? What is my life now?" You really look at yourself in the mirror pretty hard during those times. Like, I what did I sign up for? And then the third to fourth month, there's a pivot to reaction. She can notice when I'm in the she's
Yeah.
excited. It's a little bit
Yeah.
more of the puppy dog mentality, and you can see her thinking, and then it started evolving into like, oh, okay. I guess I'll enjoy spending time with her instead of just be her slave.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that, man. I definitely remember that. It's the greatest blessing ever, but it's, kinda what you alluded to, like, your life changes a lot, and it changes permanently. There's never any going back, and, you start to evaluate your decisions, at least I did, a lot differently. I wasn't reckless before, but it's like everything I do, even from, like, driving my car on the highway, you know? I used to go 10 over, now I go 5 over, just, like, little stupid things like that. You just always think, like, I gotta just look out for them? It's
Oh,
different.
absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes I got to put my phone down because I'm tempted to throw a text or something. You know,
Yeah,
don't record this of me, obviously
yeah.
breaking some rules, but
No,
yeah,
you'd never do that, you'd never do that.
I
Hypothetically,
gotta
yeah.
I shouldn't do this. She's in the car. I can sacrifice myself, but not her. But at the end of the day, I really wanted to have you on this show because I've had the opportunity to watch you build this brand from not I wouldn't say ground zero, but close to a public ground zero. The moment that it was actually something you could see and the different people you've had throughout the time, different things. There's been some fun characters that have flown through the show. Honestly, I don't know where some of them are. I won't bring them up just in case that there's bad blood there. But I think there's so many aspects of what you've done that are just so impressive. And I'd love to talk about, and we'll go through these in pieces, but the building of a brand, building of a company like this that is tied to something that's so emotional, and there's so much education. There's building teams, all this kind of stuff, and then going into obviously some market stuff. But I'd love to start out with what brought you into the industry, even before you brought this brand to life. What brought you to crypto? What put Bitcoin as a front and center thing that you felt like this is the future?
Yeah, okay, lot to unpack there. It's there's I guess maybe there's a couple different stories, and this far into my like crypto journey, it's almost hard to remember exactly like where that point was, but the one that I think probably had the biggest impact was, I was in real estate before this. I had a property management business. It was mostly student housing based. There's a kind of like a little nest in the Twin Cities, of a bunch of private colleges. I went to one of them, and my best friend in college and I were managing some properties over there, mostly single family homes, stuff like that. And we were doing quite well. We were managing, I mean, I don't even remember at our peak. I mean, it was a lot. We were managing a lot of student housing and some multifamily in that area. And we were able to actually acquire and buy a handful of properties as well, because we were really beneficiaries of the interest rate environment at that time. Right when we graduated college, I think that you could probably get a commercial note for maybe 5.5%, pretty solid. And then the next few years after we started managing properties, those rates just like they just got pummeled, right? You could get a 30-year AM, 20 to 30-year AM,
Yeah.
5 to 7 year lock on the rate at, you know, 3.5%. So we would just like buy a property a year later, like reappraise it, borrow money, use the, extra money we borrowed as equity to buy another property. And just like, it was just sort of like the, right place, right time. And it was going really well. Um, and then, I started to realize like, I'm trying to scale this business. I'm trying to buy more properties myself. That's where the real money is.
Yeah.
Real estate is, what I thought to be the world's greatest savings account. It's like, you park money in it, and, you watch your money appreciate. Maybe, the asset will appreciate 3 to 5% per year, maybe. And then at the same time, you're borrowing money at 3 to 5%, and the property is going to yield 8 to 10%, ideally. So you're making the spread on that borrowed money while the building's appreciating, and you're paying down the debt. Like your, IRR all in is you could make, 18 to 22% per year is kind of what we were targeting for like these smaller single families and duplexes. And it was a much better option than parking money in a savings account, or even at the time, like stocks were doing well, but it's a lot of stocks to find a good dividend stock. It's like most of these stocks, they're just appreciating. They don't pay you any yield. So you don't really get to live off of them unless you sell them, incur, a taxable event, and then maybe have to sell more stock than you want. And, it's harder to live off stocks where real estate is paying you this yield. And at the time also, I'm totally rambling here, but I promise I'm going to make my point here in a second. You could, you know, there was this cost segregated depreciation that was kind of a new expedited depreciation deal that was going on. And you could basically expedite the depreciation of your real estate and effectively, show such a big loss on paper that like you wouldn't have to pay any income tax. So it's like you're making all this yield off your properties in this amazing environment. You're able to live off the yield while your assets appreciating. And it was amazing. But what I came to realize quickly was like, I'm playing an old man's game. I kept trying to take stabs at these properties. Like I'd see a house I wanted to buy and rent. I'd see a duplex, a fourplex, or bigger. And I would make a really strong offer. I would offer to buy a property at like a 5 cap or a 6 cap, um, which is, a really what I thought to be like solid offer for these properties at the time. It's a premium. And basically I'm getting outbid by these guys that are paying 3.5 to 4.5 cap rates for these buildings that are 50 to 100 years old, even, right? And what it really came down to is these guys had multi-decade long careers. You know, these guys were worth $100 million. They had the ability to borrow money that I didn't, right? They could go into any bank. They had deep relationships with these institutions. They could get cheaper rates than I could, even though they all were really cheap at the time. They had more cash on hand. They had bigger teams. They had lower operating expense ratios. And I was like, I simply can't scale my business the way that I want because I'm the barrier to entry in real estate is it couldn't be higher. Like you have to have so much money in order to play that game. At the time I was in my low 20s. I didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I had a friend and basically he starts telling me about Bitcoin. I didn't care about Bitcoin. I was like, whatever, you know, I think this was like 2019-ish. And I was like, dude, I don't care. Like I'm in real estate. Like I don't need Bitcoin. I don't care Bitcoin about Bitcoin. I don't know. And then for whatever reason later that night, I found myself like going down the rabbit hole. And I was like, wow, like the dollar is super broken. Like, wow. And then you go into the whole like, oh, turns out our dollar is actually not collateralized by anything besides like the strength and resiliency of the US armed forces, right? Which is a lot, but you know, it's just kind of it's just sort of the ultimate Ponzi is what it is, you know. So you go into the economics of Bitcoin and it clicks right away for anybody that has a basic understanding of, you know, economics and money. So yeah, it was sort of the intersection or convergence of like I had a career that I was building in real estate and it was going fine. It was going really well. And I basically woke up one day and was like, I can't possibly scale at the pace that I want to scale at because the barrier to entry is so immense. And I realized quickly that the innovation in crypto and the pace of crypto, although stressful, is probably where a guy in his 20s should be spending his time, not trying to bid properties against 60 and 70-year-old men that are worth, 9 to 10 figures. So long answer, but I figure we're going to get into it. Why not tell the story? So
Yeah, don't feel guilty. I mean, the show, I'll run it to you. The show is about you today. So if you want to go in some tangents, people hear from me all the time. I'm the same old guy that's on the show. You're the fresh face. They want to hear the story. I think I find too often that there's so many great people in the space and there's so many great stories, whether it's their building of companies, whether it's their how they got to the place they are now. And so many times people kind of only get to see the shell of somebody. They don't get to really hear, they don't get to know them. And I hate that because it's a bit of a disconnect in a lot of ways. And I think you do a great job because you're actually pretty authentic on your shows. You're really passionate about what you do and dropping that. But I always love to hear the backstories. I think people really connect with that. And even hearing that and hearing how people get in the industry, it does tell you a thread of kind of how they take on the market, why they make the decisions, because each person somewhat enters from a different. Oh, I was in DeFi summer. Oh, I was a meme coin got me in. Oh, an NFT got me in. Kind of tells you where their initial passion is connected to money. So that's really interesting to hear. And what a time to get in 2019. You probably got some real ripe entry into your Bitcoin positioning.
yeah, I first started buying Bitcoin at somewhere between like 8K and up to 12K, and I think, and then I was mostly just holding that. But my best spot position actually was ETH around that same time. I was buying ETH at like 200 or, I think I probably have some orders that were even below that, but like really, really cheap. And obviously ETH went almost to 5K last cycle. So that was really fun. That was where actually most of my money last cycle came from. And then started dabbling with a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, ETH definitely kicked some butt for me last cycle. Bitcoin was great too. But
It's hard not to, if you're around for 2020 to 2022, even if you came in 2021 and ran up that time frame, it's hard not to have some kind of fondness for ETH. There was
yeah,
just, it was just generational. The 2021, 2022 run was there were so many ways to attack the market. There were so many, whether you're NFT collectors, basically this whole inflow of Pokemon, it was the same group of people back in NFTs just full sending their first dose back into this stuff. It almost felt like this all caught momentum again. It was like NFTs reignited this part of the soul that all of us had at a certain age range growing up. It was like, oh, now we have money. Like now I can pay, which I mean, they were insane prices. Like, oh, I can pay an ETH for that. I
Yeah.
mean, it was, I don't know why. You look back at it and you think, man, I really held some things that were irresponsible to hold round trip like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But I mean, that's your tuition in crypto, man. Like, I don't know a single person that's made it in crypto that hasn't lost it at least once, all of it damn near, or done something really stupid. I mean, that's ultimately how you learn. In hindsight, it's always clear as day, right? You're just like, man, like we were buying NFTs for like, 6 or 7 or even some people 8 figures. Turns out they actually didn't do anything and they were just stupid pictures, but, we had fun doing it at the time. But there's 2 kinds of people, right? It's like there are those that see a bubble and they say, "I want nothing to do with that. That's scary. I don't trust it," and they're skeptical. And then there are those that see a bubble and they're like, "I have to participate," right? So, I kinda fall into the latter where there's bubbles everywhere, man. I mean, individual stocks, different sectors, crypto only bubbles to the downside these days, but crypto bubbles, NFTs, whatever, like you want to go where the action is. And for a spurt last cycle, you know, there was NFTs, right? And there is some real utility with NFTs, or there can be, right? Like the utility hasn't really come to fruition in a way that I think people, maybe early speculators, had hoped. It kind of ended up just being like another grift, right? Classic. But,
Yeah.
there is, if you think about it, like you could implement NFTs for tickets, right? It would probably decrease the amount of fraud in, ticket sales and things of that sort, or even selling, I don't know, selling music or whatever it may be. But it's just like until the mania dies, which I think at this point it has, and like real builders that have a real passion for it step in, you know it's just another kind of mania phase, right? But that was fun. I never got super into NFTs last cycle. I definitely observed it. um but I did a little bit more this past crypto cycle for sure. And I don't know. I think I probably broke even on most of it. Like I was up for a bit and then ETH just never pumped. So just never
Yeah.
really bubbled.
That was a weird, I think that's when I look at, because we're talking cycles a little bit. You referenced last cycle, and it's cycle theory, I guess, goes into like, have we exited even the 2021 2022 finish and then into the 2020, I don't know, 5, 6, 4, 5, whatever those years are. If we call this last little thing, depending on, there's a lot of arguments, so cycle finished or it's extended, it's different, all these things. But let's say this last, the shorter, most recent time that went up, I'd say one of the most under talked about pieces of that was the amount of difficulty people had in adjusting to a much different environment than 2021, 2022, and the amount of big name creators, voices, influencers that I felt lost influence slash lost almost all of their money trying to play the same playbook, but not being able to adjust to a very specific liquidity flow into sectors.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. It's a very tough game that we're playing, right? I would say it's the toughest game, which is why if you win it, you can make so much money. Uh, but the price if you're wrong is, you kind of look really stupid and then publicly lose everything. So, I've seen a lot, right? Like I've seen a lot of people lose it all. I've seen a lot of people like really make it and then lose it, or small minority make it and actually leave. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a healthy mix, but I think the thing is, like you alluded to, your history, and this is so cliche, but it's like history never exactly repeats, but it does rhyme. But if you try to follow what's happened in the past too closely and you're maybe too stubborn about it and you don't go in with a high degree of flexibility, you're most likely trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and it's not really going to work out super well. And like I said, it really is like this is the toughest possible game, man. The ups and downs, the volatility, the emotions. When things are great, you never think that they're going to end, and when things are bad, you also never think they're going to recover and come back, which is where I think we're probably getting close to right now. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of people. They get exhausted. I would say the best skill that you can possibly have to succeed in this game, it's not even your ability to like analyze charts or like data. That's super important, but I would say it's really more about your threshold for putting up with like bullshit and being stressed out. The biggest winners or successes that I've seen come out of this space have been able to put up with years of crap before things finally went their way. And I know that people don't like to hear that because they think that, there's like some hidden secret and everything's a conspiracy and somebody always knows what direction we're going to go and it's all manipulated. And it's like the truth is somewhere in between, right? There's people that have a really good track record and maybe they'll win 6 out of 10 of their trades or something. And, they're consistently making money or, they just have a really good kind of pulse on the market. But at the end of the day, like there is a certain degree of time in this game rather than timing the game. Like if you just stick around long enough and make sure that you don't get completely knocked out and you live to fight another day, that's going to really dramatically increase the likelihood that you make something substantial for yourself. Obviously you need to understand markets to a certain degree, but um I mean, some of the wealthiest people I know are really not that impressive, like pretty normal guys that just can put up with a lot of crap and then just have no quit in them at all. But they have that dog in them, so I think it's, you have also seen it go the other way where you have a lot of really incredibly smart people, like 2 to 2.5 standard deviations away from the mean IQ kind of guys, real sharp 130 to 150 IQ kind of guys that just don't have that fight in them to like keep getting punched and get back up, and then they just go take some corporate job and make a bunch of money, but in a different game, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it's a tough game. A lot of people come and go.
It's not really built. It's kind of like entrepreneurship. It's, in my opinion, it's an amazing thing, but it's not for everyone. Like the crypto market in the state it is right now, at the level of degeneracy, a lot of it is. It's an amazing place, but it's not built for everyone. Like not everyone's built for it because emotionally, you have to be able to detach. You can't you the thing that it tries to drive you into is to stay forever in things that don't make any sense to stay in, whether it's NFTs, memes, whatever. Everything is built, all the culture, all the narratives around diamond hands, around this, around that. And I fall in two categories. I love the aspect of the building, the community, the long term, the old school ETH when we ran stuff up. But I also like that the discipline and the health of removing your initials, having a plan, being able to take it out. That kind of drives me towards the way you look at trading and how do you feel that working both ends of the market, because you're willing to go down the degen path, you're willing to talk narratives, you're willing to take shots in this crazy market, and you're also a strategic investor that looks at the actual market, the crypto market. You're playing option, you're playing everything. How do you feel that working both, do you feel that it gives you a different level of discipline to where you can apply certain strategies, maybe profit taking or different things, to both sides of the house?
Yeah, I think it helps to be well-rounded. Um, as much as the crypto culture kind of encourages like diamond hands, all in, like, hodl, whatever. Um, I will say that one thing that's particularly critical is having a few different baskets. You can be all in without literally being net worth long like a single asset, and that includes Bitcoin. Um, Even just at times when you're feeling uneasy, just like have a little bit of extra cash on hand and you know, own a little bit of an uncorrelated asset, like own some stocks, right? Even just a small amount. Something where it's just like you have a little bit of a little bit of diversification, because in crypto, diversification is kind of a meme. It's like when Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. When Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. Except for, I know, I'm sure somebody watching is like, what about Hyperliquid, Max? Okay, yeah. So like I guess right now Hyperliquid is just like doing its own thing. But 99.9% of the time, you're trading Bitcoin and Bitcoin derivatives, like that's what you're trading. So um you're just trading Bitcoin's movements through a different vehicle. But yeah, I mean, I'd say like just have something that, is slightly uncorrelated, right? It will really help you sleep at night. It will help you gain more clarity. And yeah, I mean, I think kind of going into the vastness of like where I focus, it's like I'm really not just crypto. I'm Most of my money's in crypto, but like the analysis that I do is like multi-market wide, right? Like a lot of my bias for even like meme coins will come from what equities are doing, right? Which is, people think it's kind of crazy. Um, but if you really kind of break it down, and crypto's behaving just terribly right now. So like nothing right now matters for crypto. Like we just need to kind of weather the storm for a bit. Um, but it's like, for example, think back to 2024, 2025, the very beginning of 2025. We would get some like bad economic report, right? It would be like a hot CPI print, or, hot PPI, or, some company would miss earnings, or, whatever, some economic report or anomaly that would shake the market. And you'd see the S&P 500 futures drop, pre-market, or, after hours. You'd see the S&P 500 futures drop 1%. And then because of that, you'd see Bitcoin drop 3%. And then because of that, you'd see Doge drop 6%. And then because of that, you'd see Pepe drop 11%, right? So it was like this domino effect of like, you have this random like meme coin dropping double digits because some economic event that has literally nothing to do with it moved global markets, right? So it's like kind of understanding what you're trading is also critical, because if you just have no idea why your market is moving the way that it is, you won't be able to stick around through the volatility, right? You have to be able to sort of quantify like, hey, like this is moving because this happened. And the truth is too, like you could follow me, anybody could follow me, and I could be like, oh, no worries, I'm still holding. You can only borrow so much conviction from somebody. Like you have to truly understand it for yourself, which is why, we try to like really focus on the why of what's happening. It doesn't mean we're always right about the why, but helping people understand like what's moving the wheel, like how the sausage is made, what they're actually holding. Because a lot of crypto too, it's just a bunch of guys being like, "Oh, like just buy my meme coin. Like, trust me, here's this like ridiculous thesis. Like, this is like the ninth derivative of like, this comic book character, and like Diamond Hand, Diamond Hand." And it's like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. No one knows what you're talking about. Like, that's the worst take of all time. Like, at least spin together and conjugate some narrative that like ties the whole thing in, like people just get sloppy with the with the narratives. But like the truth is like something like Pepe will move because like we get a hot PPI print. That's crazy, right? Like there's no reason,
Yeah.
Pepe has no reason to move based on that, but it does, because it's all connected. So
I hate one of the things I hate most is the level of conviction and the level of statements that people make that are actually opinions. I mean, It's
Yeah.
all over CTR. This is going to 10x, or this is, you're an idiot. This is going to do this. There's so much definitively wrong information out there stated as it's factual. And it just drives me insane because it's just demolishing people right and left, because a lot of people start to trust people. They got 100,000 followers, they got whatever. Oh, I'm going to, you know, obviously they said it's going to do this. And that drives this whole crazy aspect. But it goes back to what you said, which is, and somewhat what the do your own research was trying to say, but is a bit ridiculous sometimes. But it's way different when you hold something and you know, I put the time in to understand it, why I want to hold it, what my thesis is, where I see it going. I have, this is where I'm going to sell out different pieces. This is because you have to have all of that. Like to do something successfully and feel good in it, in the same thought of, if it sells off, I'm buying it at these prices. I would add money. Most things that you should feel really good about going in the future, and you have a really good thesis, you should feel really good if it starts to pull back, because it's kind of like, ah, shit, I didn't get that entry.
Yeah.
Now I've got the entry. But most people don't have that. And so it starts pulling back and they're instantly like, I got to get the hell out of here. This sucks. It's the worst thing
Yeah.
ever. And it's almost a reverse mentality of what you should have going into something.
Yeah. I mean, well said. I completely agree. There's definitely a time and a place to buy dips and to hold a lot of this stuff. But I think the thing that frustrates me the most is like, I don't fear the man that, or I don't fear the man that has shilled, you know, a shit coin, uh, you know, five. I don't fear the man that has shilled 5,000 shit coins. Like I fear the man that's shilled a shit coin 5,000 times. Like these people, they jump from project to project. Like I don't really care about the price targets as much. And here's why. Nobody knows where price is going, whether it's a stock, whether it's a meme coin, whether it's anything, right? Like Michael Saylor can say Bitcoin's going to like, 10 million or a million. And it's like he's got like a theory, right? And he could be
Yeah.
right, or he could be very, very wrong. The CEO of Nvidia doesn't know where his stock is going. Like he has estimates, right? Like we
Yeah.
have projections. Nobody knows where price is going. Nobody. So, people will present a thesis, some more lazy than others, right? Um, hey, this is the 12th derivative of like something that's already, been done 15 different times. It's going to a billion because I hold a big percentage is, basically what they're not
Yeah.
telling you. But it's kind of lazy. And people that believe that, if somebody's got a new shill every week and it's like always going to a billion, they have a huge bag and they're just excited about it. That's all that is, right? And if you actually believe that enough to just go shove all your money into it, you are going to lose your money one way or another. I don't feel that bad for you. Like if you really are like, if that's the due diligence that you're doing, I'm really, I'm sorry that, you bought that person's new shill of the week, but it's like, come on, man. Like you can't, like let's attach some probabilities to it. Like how many meme coins go to a billion, and like what does it take for it to actually go to a billion, and what's this person's track record of calling plays that actually even get close to their targets, right? Like during mania, probably not great for you, like you're probably too gullible to be in this game. Like just find something new. Nobody knows where price is going. Like price targets can be fun, especially if there's like some levels attached to it, right? Like pair charts or Fibonacci levels, like fib extension levels, things like that. Um, but what really drives me crazy is just like the blatant like farming of their audiences more so than the price targets. It's like pick your lane and like commit to it rather than every week like like secretively like scooping up cheap supply and then just like smoking a joint and being like this is the best project ever and like oh it's just going to go to a billion and like everyone will see me and like just like they're just they're crazy, man. They're lunatics, and it makes the whole space look bad. But we have a major like dilution problem in this space where like I initially didn't think that we were going to have a dilution problem. And then towards the tail end of 2024 into 2025, I was like, okay, like nobody cares about like a strong narrative anymore. They're literally just like rotating the hot ball of money. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, like nobody knows where price is going, so probably it'd probably be best if everybody just like refrained forever from being like, I think this is gonna go here. Because you have no clue, right? Like you could take a
Yeah.
guess and like once in a while you're right. No one knows, man. Nobody knows. Um, but yeah, I mean, you just got to look out for the people that are like every week shilling something new, you know. But I guess that's my take. Like other people will think the complete opposite. They'll be like, "Oh, well, my actions are a result of like the poor conditions and like I have to try to like, go where the action is." And to a degree, like they would be correct in saying like conditions are terrible. Like you have to try to make the most of it, but you're also playing a very dangerous game where like, you know, so many people are gonna get hurt. You're probably even gonna get hurt yourself, and, like, you're also just gonna ruin any bit of reputation that you have. So, people hit me up about meme coins all the time. Like, every single day, I probably get, like, 3 messages from people about meme coins, and I either don't respond or just say politely, like, "Listen, like, I've got my bags," like, I've
Yeah.
been in them for they all qualify for long-term cap gains. I've topped them up at these levels, like, they're either gonna work in a big way or they're not going to work, but, like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be, like, bouncing around shit coins forever, like, that's just not my game. Like, I want things that I can, like, dive into. I can make sense of why they're moving the way they are. They have, solid holder base. They have, price history, things like that. But, you know, yeah, anyways, long tangent, but, you just gotta be careful about the, like, excess shilling that people do because usually they're not being super forthright about it. So,
Yeah, and it's also when you're in those spaces, it's hard to do, and that's where I think a lot of people get wrecked is discipline is so crucial when you're in true degen, low cap, micro cap stuff. Like that's where we had Ragsy on the other day and she spoke to it a bit. It was like you have because so many people are trying to make a changing play on every play, the person who can it gets up 2x even if they put $100 in, they take their initials out and then they moon back and they just let things ride and they're constantly pulling their initial capital back out knowing that tons of these plays won't work out and the couple that will it won't matter because most of them will get you the 2x. You'll pull your initial so you always have your initial and then the few that go for it you rapidly pace out on, but most people are like no,
yeah, most
I
people are
need
not doing that.
I need
Yeah.
a 10x what I put in. I need $1,000 in because when I put 100 in, it's a 10x to get $1,000. They don't disciplinely stack. They are looking for the moonshot every single play. And so in the wash of CT, it seems like those are really prevalent. But in the reality of the actual stats behind the numbers, those moonshot monster life changing plays are one in a million of those memes that
Yeah.
person catches the 10K and runs it to 100 million or something like that. And they often are the person that knows about the token. They were an insider. They got the text from their buddy that was going to launch that thing and they had the whole crew ready to pump it
Yeah.
and things like that. So I wanted to go into a little bit more around because Bitcoin. I know we were going on some tangents, but
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I really highlight where you started with that and really like walk us through the process a little bit of building out a brand like this, building out something that is really around financial education, trying to help people, like you said, understand more than just this is the play, make this play, this is the point on the chart, buy this, sell this, because you understand if they miss one stream or they miss one thing I'm doing, that whole thing falls apart because the market's constantly moving. So
Yeah.
how was it building this thing out? And what have you kept as your motivation and kind of your North Star as you drive a big brand like this that I think you see continuing to grow into something really huge?
It's It's funny hearing you say, like, a big brand, because like, in my head, it's still, like, a little tiny, I don't know, it's just, I guess it's all perspective, right? But it's like, I feel no different than I did when we were just starting out in a way. I think maybe that's sort of the Achilles heel of, like, a entrepreneur in some senses, like, the never feeling like it's enough or satisfied, but, yeah, it's been a grind, I'll tell you, like, from day 1 until now, I don't think it's ever been easy, but I love the challenge, right? I think we're approaching 4 years now, and we've been through now, I guess, 2 bear markets, and I'll tell you, running a crypto company in a bear market is not exactly rainbows and sunshine, but what it really comes down to is the people that you surround yourself with. Like, the guys I have on my team are the absolute best, man, I'll tell you. Like, it's really not the business, it's not the analysis I do, it's not anything about me. It's just like all of my guys, every single one of them. Like, you take away everything and you leave me with those guys, we have something else within like 3 months. You know what I mean? It's the people. And I think a lot of people probably view it as like the brand, or, oh, like they know something, or they're like so smart, or, oh, they're so stupid. People also don't like us for whatever reason. But it's the guys, like, they're a loyal group of guys. Like, they trust me. They look to me to kind of set the tone and the direction, and they show up every single day when sometimes there's no reason to show up, and they just fight every single day. And sometimes we have a huge stretch of wins and it changes everything, and other times it's like we'll go months with no action at all, right? And that's just kind of the nature of the industry that we're in. But starting the business, I wanted to do something in crypto, like I was kind of talking about earlier. I was in real estate and slow moving old man's game. I loved it. I'll probably be back one day. And I said, look, like, I went through 2019 through 2022 cycle, and I didn't really have a reliable source of people where I could tune into and be like, oh, I actually can see their faces and they're like fully doxed, and like you could look me up on the internet, and like I'm right here and I'm being honest and transparent. It doesn't mean I'm going to be right about everything. I'll be wrong plenty of times, but like, he's being genuine, like, and I'll learn something from him, like, he'll save me some time, on my journey. And they can tune in and get some entertainment and education. And there really wasn't anything that I came across last cycle that was like that. There was, one great show, like Kobe, who's a legend, had that Up Only, which, you know, it's a great show, but it wasn't like a resource to, like, tune in every single day and get like your content, but like epic show, right? And I loved watching that, just like I think everybody else did. Um, and I think maybe the problem with that is I think he's just like a billionaire. I don't think he needs to like have some like crypto media company or whatever. Like, why would you? Um, but I said to myself, like, all right, I recognize that, like you were talking about earlier, Brandon, like, people come into this space and they get chewed up and spit right back out. The only way I'm gonna survive is if I surround myself with a bunch of really sharp guys. You just can't do this game alone forever. The market's too big, things move too quickly. You'll miss something. Like, I remember, this is going a little backward in time, but I had a friend, that basically hit me up like 48 hours before FTX went down and was like, "This shit's real, get your money out of there right now." I
Wow.
wasn't even paying attention to that at the time. I was like, "Oh, FTX, like, no way, we're fine," right? And it's the network effect. It's like those trusted contacts that save you, right? And I recognized that right away. I was like, I can't do this alone. Like, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. Like, I need to have a team around me. And going back to that work-life balance, like, unless you want to be sitting there, 16 to 18 hours a day, just like never leaving the basement, you have to have a network of people, right? You have to have guys watching this stuff. So, I wanted to start something and I knew it had to be like a team sport, right? Which is a little unconventional of crypto, where it's like usually trading is kind of something you do in isolation, right? So, surrounded myself with guys. Some of them are still here, some are not here. You know, really appreciate everybody that's come in through BB over the past 4 years. Everybody's left their mark on it, even guys that are not here. Um, it's the business has gone through growing pains, it's gone through mania phases, it's gone through bear markets, but at the end of the day, it's the people. The people that are on my team, they love what they do, they love the challenge. We have a lot of respect for each other. Um, it doesn't make bear markets necessarily any easier, but I will say, like, it's just something we enjoy. Like, it's something we enjoy. I love the, like, community. I like meeting people like you. Some of the best connections I've made have come from doing streams like this, or some guy sends me a DM and, like, it is a huge connection suddenly out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
um so yeah, I guess I don't really have more to share other than, like, it's a complete grind. Like, anybody that's thinking about starting some business in crypto, whether it's like a media company that has products like us or something else, like, seriously, really think about it. Like, I'm telling you, it's a lot harder than it seems. Like, it takes up a lot of time and stress, and it never turns off, but it's the most rewarding thing you could possibly do when it works. Like, if you can get through that and you can figure it out, it's very, very rewarding. But just get ready to hunker down, I'll tell you.
You bring up a great point with a lot of what you said there, though, is the core tenet of networking. And whether that's in life, whether that's in crypto, whether it's in anything you do, building a high value network, and that doesn't have to be high value as in they're financially high net worth, just people that really attack different things, and especially ones that fill gaps that you're not necessarily strong in. Some people, they could send me a message and I'll put money into that thing before I even take a peek at the thing, because their hit rates are so high and the way they work in certain areas is so good that they've earned that moment when if they hit me up, they've got my full trust. I don't care if I lose on that play because they're hitting so much more. There's other people where, yeah, networking, going to events, getting into different things, getting access to different things, or learning about other chains, other things being built. Maybe somebody's super deep into AI agents, like timing matters. So having these people that are in these different areas and attacking things and can challenge your moments when maybe you're euphoric or too bullish on something, and they can press back and say, hey, have you taken profits? Have you, like, why do you feel that way? I don't necessarily agree with your take on that. And they can help you hammer down into yourself on, okay, whoa, I was blinders on a little bit on this. I didn't realize I was a bit too excited and I missed some big gaps. So I think
Yeah.
when you're talking about building the right group of people around you, whether that's with a company or in general, it's so valuable. And that's one of the best pieces of the bear market times too, is people are also much more accessible during that time. Like, people tend to be more willing to interact, or they're more pumped about you engaging their stuff constantly or being in their Discord and things like that. So I also think the people who can hang through that time and show up day in and day out earn a lot more credit inside the CT bubble of, oh, okay. Oh, so they're one of those. They're not just showing up when times are good and gone for 2 years.
Yep.
That matters a lot. So I wanted to highlight that. When looking at because Bitcoin, walk us through, for anybody that's looking to be involved, looking to why they would come to a show, what kind of things that they should expect and come into your streams. Is there a cadence to the information? Can you give a bit more rundown just for anybody who's not as familiar with
Yeah.
what exactly the value add is and the ways that you can tap into your brand?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we have a show that we run now 3 times a week. We were doing it 5 times a week, but we've cut it back to 3 for now. Um, just kind of a bear market thing, right? You make those little adjustments, bear market. Um, but we're running it Monday, Wednesday, Thursday on our YouTube channel. You just look up Because Bitcoin. It's basically, a 45 to 60-minute show, 3 days a week. At about an hour after New York Open, hour and a half after New York Open. And usually there's 4 or 5 guys from Because Bitcoin on there. And the whole show is completely unscripted, just like a bunch of guys. One of us will pull up a chart. We'll joke around, have some fun, on really, really slow, choppy days. Like if we had a show today, we would basically be goofing around the entire time, or at least I would. I feel like I end up just being the biggest distraction on crappy days. I'm like, I can't bear to talk about this chop. Let's just joke around. But we'll talk about price. We'll do live TA. We'll do pair charts. We'll be like, hey, have you seen this this stock or whatever this crypto chart's doing? If there's any news that happened on the day, obviously that just kind of gets brought up, like, oh, something happened. So it's a really great, fun way for people to, you'll learn something, right? You'll see a ticker you've never seen before. You'll see a pair chart, that you had never seen before. You'll probably get a couple laughs in because we try to make it fun. And that just happens naturally because we're all friends and it's, you're hanging out on the internet. That's what you do. But it's a great place. Like you'll learn. We've got a really, really committed audience over there. That some of those people have been tuning in every single week for probably 3 years. I think we've been running that show. So, like it's the show's called Market Check, Real Market Check OGs for sure. And then we also have an afternoon show that's run daily called Market Talk. That's on X. That one's hosted by a guy on our team named King Wabi. He's hilarious, man. He's got a lot of alpha. The way his brain works is pretty unbelievable. He like catalogs everything in his head by like calendar dates in a way. It's very interesting. Like I need to look at a chart and I can like tell you exactly what's going on. He'll be like, "Do you remember in like August of 2024 this coin launched and then like this DeFi protocol did this?" And then like, he'll just pull these crazy like, "Do you remembers?" from his head. That's a huge show. That's probably our biggest show. I mean, he usually gets like 3 to 8,000 views on that show every afternoon.
Wow.
A lot of big guests go on there and it's a great time slot for people. So I would say those are probably the 2 ways you can find us on a day-to-day basis. And then, of course, you could check out some of our products and stuff if you want a little bit more intimate access. But we really focus on like the free content. We want to help people learn. We want people to have a good time. And then if you really enjoy it, you'll figure out where to go from there.
I love that way of doing things because it is a great funnel. In the end of the day, you connect with the people, you connect with what's going on socials, you connect with the education. It's hard to not want to get more ingrained in what's going on, especially if you almost feel as somewhat of a kinship, a friendship, where you're bantering with them, you're hearing them banter, and you want to join in, you want to join the community, and you might say, "Hey, at the end of the day, I don't have as much trading skills as I'd like, and I need a little bit more hands-on education. I need to understand at a deeper level because I'm trying to elevate my trading game. I'm trying to elevate, and it is a giant help to get somebody who's got the experience to press back, to give you a little bit more insight in something that is really difficult. And trading is I'm not a great trader. It's not something that a lot of people are good at, even if it's LARPed a lot on X, like everybody's making these monster trades every day.
Don't even get me started on that, man.
Yeah, I'm sure you know more behind the scenes how bad some of these people are, and or that they just
Yeah.
use only referral link money. So they just go full degen every day
Yeah.
with somebody else's money, kind of.
Yeah, that does happen a lot. when you've actually been trading or just like investing, whatever you want to call it, right? Whenever you've been in financial markets, doing something and producing for a long enough period of time, you can see right away who's just full of it and who's being authentic. Some of these guys will broadcast like, I've got like an 80% win rate and like, all this stuff. And it's like, dude, okay, first of all, no, you don't. And if you do, you're hitting like these little like micro movements, like little tiny ticks. These guys will post like, 80% win rates with like average RR of like, 4 to 1. And I'm like, dude, do the math on that. You would literally be a billionaire in like a year, doing like a few trades a day. Like the compounding effects of those results are they've never been done before. They will never be done. Okay. But yeah, anyways, we don't even need to dwell on that. It's just like there's so much of that, man. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about the like gullibleness of this space where people will, follow somebody and they've got a new shill every week and they'll just be like, oh, this one's going to 1 billion. And it's just like, okay, like a fool and his money, is the parable. It's like you just, if you have to be honest with yourself. Like if you don't have a good like BS detector, just don't be in crypto. Like you have to have a good BS sniffer on you. But yeah, there's a lot of grift out there, man. Like we could do a whole show about like the exposing of the grift, man. It's pretty wild. And even up to like a lot of the exchanges that people use a lot, market makers, like I've had some conversations with people that are just they would like floor you. You'd be like, there's just no way that is real. And it is super, super real. And it's a lot worse than people realize. So, I don't know. We'll see where crypto ends up, down the road, but there's a lot of filth in crypto, right? Which is why I feel like we're getting punished with prices being down so bad, honestly.
Yeah, it's the more the more behind the curtain you look, the crazier
Oh,
everything is and the less random everything is. It's, oh, that meme or that thing didn't move. Like there's a big machine behind all things that are going that is made out to look very organic in a lot of scenarios. And
it's a lot worse
it's
than people realize,
it's
like
that left curve, right curve thing. You're like, a lot of
yeah.
times you're almost better off just being like, even if you feel like you can float between, it's like just go left curve. It's way too stressful to really dig into exactly how it all works. And if you understand how a lot of it works, it's hard to even be involved in a lot of the things because there are actual buttons that are being pushed to get it to the places it goes. And they, I don't know, it's hard to explain without saying too much, but it can be a lot. It can be a lot sometimes. And one thing that I'm hoping that we're actually seeing through that more ugly last cycle
Mhm.
is a return, and Hyperliquid being part of this, but others,
Yeah.
a lot of AI agent and actual builds being done. There's a lot of grift in that too, but there are some things where it does feel, is this the pivot to where there's going to be more expectation out of companies in the future to get values that are higher and not I mean, we've had so many. Think back, I was in 2017, and you had the Neos, the EOS, the Icon, you name it, XRP's early days.
Yep.
Some of those tokens, XRP, of course, is still big, but a lot of those are still like top 50, and they haven't done a single thing in 8 years. They
Mhm.
just made so much money and pulled so much cash on hand, billions, that they
Mhm.
can hold a company afloat at billions of dollar valuation, producing. I think I saw Polkadot was producing less than $1,000 on their chain, or less than $1,000 volume the other week. It's
Uh-huh.
just, I hope that we're seeing some evolution towards that we can have a legitimate company on chain, and but it's got to produce legitimate business outcomes, and then we can market, or we can create market caps that make sense based on business metrics like the rest of the world does
Mhm.
for things, instead of just fantasy metrics with no revenue, no nothing, and $10 billion market cap.
Yeah, I think what you identified there is a real problem. Um, because even, like, let's look at something like an Aave, right? Aave is a fantastic, fantastic product. I used it quite a bit last cycle. They survived, ETH going to $880 or wherever it bottomed last cycle.
Yeah.
Um, as far as I'm concerned, like, trusted protocol, right? And DeFi, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the actual real utility cases for Ethereum. And if you've ever used it during a bull market, especially, it's amazing where you can get exposure to ETH, deposit it into something like Aave, and then borrow against it in basically a crypto home equity line of credit, is what it feels like. And you can just draw against it. The interest accrues on it. You have access to your liquidity without creating a taxable event or having to, sell anything or do anything. It's amazing, right? But at the same time, it's like, why would I invest in Aave, right? Like the token, like it's not a public company. I don't have equity in it. I don't like legitimately get like, I don't get like a dividend check from like the yield, or, I don't get any, like, I don't even know if they're doing buybacks. I haven't really kept up with it. I don't think they are. I might be mistaken. So it's like, what are you really investing in, right? Like that people are going to buy this governance token, and there's a lot of stuff that's like that. And it's like, I don't really want to invest in a governance token. I don't really care to do that. Like, I want to invest in something that like has some narrative for go up, right? Like I do. Like I want to buy something that like either they're gonna, with the revenue they make, buy back the token, or if it's not crypto, if it's just a company, like I actually own a piece of that company, like a very small piece of it. And I think that's the problem, is like, where, like, what are you actually investing in crypto, right? The tech could be amazing, but it's like you can't actually own it, right? You're kind of just betting on like other people ignoring that fact and buying it, and then you buy it and everybody buys it and then it goes up, which works, right? But there is more of like a narrative with the Hyperliquid token going up, right? Like, and then I think that's clearly what we're seeing right now. Like that's clearly what we're seeing, is like there is real buy pressure, real demand for it. Not because you can buy the hype token and you own shares of like a Hyperliquid company necessarily, but it's like, you know, there's an actual like chase, like there's a real bid going on that comes from people using that site. And I guess, for exchange tokens, you can buy it and deposit exchange tokens and get like, discounted trading fees, which, whatever. But, like Hyperliquid, buy the token back and then they chase the price up. And it's like, okay, there's a real bid. And then there's this narrative of like the tokenization of stocks. And it's like, we were talking about all like the grift and all the, the, like you unveil crypto, like you look behind the curtain, and it's actually a lot more disgusting than most people would think. Even the people that think it's all corrupt don't even really know what's truly going on. I've had a small glimpse behind it, and it's really, really bad. But that's why I think dexes are becoming so popular, is because a lot of people are waking up to that. Like a lot of people are waking up to just like the blatant fraud, scam, and manipulation that occurs behind that curtain. And the beauty of crypto is, yes, like to a degree, there's some anonymity, right? It's a giant public ledger. You don't know exactly who's doing what. But a lot of these centralized exchanges, I'll tell you, like they have a way of just masking all this stuff, and working with sketchy market makers, and like, somebody needs something done, and like they can move it, they can make it
Yeah.
happen.
The
But with a
CME gaps always, that Binance's CME gaps is always basically close.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many examples, right? But it's with the DEX, you have a lot more visibility behind that curtain than you do with centralized exchanges. And I guess I don't know how much we want to go into it, but it's just, yeah, I mean, like I couldn't be more bullish on like the idea of something like Hyperliquid, because these centralized exchanges and these large, banking entities are the antithesis of crypto. I mean, like, go read Satoshi's white paper, right? Like, where crypto is right now is not it's not the heart and soul of crypto, right? Like, there's nothing but smoke and mirrors, and it's, really filthy. And like, the idea of like a peer-to-peer network that has no central authority truly doesn't exist anymore. Like, it maybe existed in its infancy, but like, even and this is kind of where I'm critical of like a lot of and for no reason, it doesn't really matter to me, but like the OG Bitcoin guys, like cheering on Michael Saylor, who, by the way, I'm like rooting for Michael Saylor. Like, I hope he ends up being a trillionaire. But it's like, for these like Bitcoin guys like cheering on Michael Saylor and Strategy, and then like all the, strategy adjacent companies that are, scooping up huge percentages of Bitcoin and just like
Yeah.
holding them and hoarding them, and then like, these ETFs is literally the antithesis of it. And then now like the new yield products that MSTR is introducing, right? Like, so far from like the core of what Bitcoin was, like this digital credit thing, that is not the design of Bitcoin. So I don't really have a problem with it, right? I'm just like, don't pretend like you're all about like, you're a Bitcoin purist, like, you don't go call us shitcoiners for like gambling on shitcoins when you're like cheering on this like Bitcoin digital credit revolution, offering double digit, annualized yield for a Bitcoin product. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's worse than our DeFi, right? So it's just like,
Yeah.
like, let's just call it what it is. Everybody wants the number to go up by any means necessary. People don't care about like the purity of Bitcoin anymore, at least as far as I can tell. I'm sure there's still a small group out there, but things are
Yeah.
changing.
It's a lot to unwrap because it's something you don't. I would say I don't always talk about it because it is a bit of a pop the bubble, depending on how much you've looked behind the curtain or whatever. But when you look at, there's two big things you mentioned there. MicroStrategy, we talk about Satoshi's wallet being 10%, it being like if he ever moves it, it's game over. MicroStrategy's looks like they're going to move to 10% at some point. It looks like they will just endlessly bid until their bag gets bigger and bigger, and it will sell, or it has to sell if certain things go wrong. So there's another version of that wallet being created daily of a mass possible amount of Bitcoin that does have sellers behind it and does have, and if a catastrophic thing happens, it does become a sell all type scenario. And now multiple products under that umbrella accumulating more of it, in a sense of actually a realm where I don't like to say Ponzi, but it's like not far off of the same style. Somebody would say, hey, you buy Bitcoin here, and then we'll give you this much percent return, almost on the fact that they are banking on from bull or bear to bull market, it's going to go up and they'll be able to maintain that. But
Mhm.
I'll say this is the timing that's better than ever for it to start because it is in a bear market. They're not starting to stretch at 120 Bitcoin, but that's one thing. The second thing is I actually really believe that what you said, this is something I've had some discussions around. I don't know how to perfectly do it, but I exactly what you're saying is right now, everything's a meme coin. Most everything is a meme coin, whether somebody wants to admit it or not, because it doesn't attach to anything real legally. Most everything that exists is there is a token representing this thing. It might be the gas token, it might be the governance token, but it's not the company. It's not tied to business metrics. It's not tied to any of these things. And even if it's a gas token, most of them are in a fight to make it the cheapest possible thing ever. So the need to have it and the need for it to get bigger doesn't actually make sense with the function it has and what its job is on the thing. So we've made these gas tokens or governance tokens big because we speculate on them in the same fashion as a meme coin. It's based on social thoughts. Like we all love this thing, so we all buy this thing.
Yeah.
But what does the evolution look like for a company? Hyperliquid's doing a great job, but let's say a Hyperliquid S company comes out, something, the Polymarket, the next version of these big innovative things. And from the moment they start, they legally connect the token to ownership in the company, or it basically would have to be. It would have to be some form of decentralized ownership in this company through tokenization, because they're not going to go down the stock realm, but they are going to create a decentralized version that people can enter. I'm waiting for a company to make that stand and kind of shatter the glass and be like, no, you do have a piece of us winning or losing. And the rest of these things out here need to change so that
Yeah.
you also have a piece of them winning.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I just, that's the hardest part, is you have to shift your mind to left curve and just go like this. Because if somebody really cared enough to make that giant push, they could crumble a ton of things and be like, you don't own anything of that. Like, they could become a stock and the crypto will go to zero, because they then did give you what you thought you had. They did create that in an actual stock and they became public. Do you think your token's going to stay alive in the fashion it was before if it was giant? I don't think so. I think people will transfer over to own part of the company while you're sitting there holding your coin and hoping there's
Well,
some
so
value thing.
you're right. In for me, that'd be kind of like a utopia where I would love to go and like literally invest in Hyperliquid. They're the most profitable company like per employee, I think, to maybe ever exist.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something. Like what they're
15
doing is
employees, I
incredible.
think, is what they're up to. And they were at 5 for a long time.
Yeah, I mean it's what they're doing is incredible, but there's no path for them to even offer something like that right now. You know,
Yeah.
we can't even in the US legally use Hyperliquid, right? So it's like this idea, this like utopia of, hey, here's this amazing company that like we would love to invest in because it's amazing and they're making all this money and they're providing a fantastic service and experience. Oh, and we're going to list it on the NYSE, but actually no Americans can even use it and like they've been forced overseas and yeah, that's like it's never gonna happen. And I
Yeah.
think as long as like the banking cartel is in place, like they're so threatened by crypto is the reality of it. Like, and that's kind of a whole tinfoil hat thing is how is it possible that like Tom Lee buys 5% of the ETH supply and like there's all this like, you know, this bubble going on everywhere else. Like every stock market globally is just crushing it right now. Like things are so solid right now and crypto's down double digits. Like ETH's down like 65, 70%. And it's like there's really kind of two ways to view the market generally right now. Is like either there is something horribly wrong with crypto and we are truly trending to zero and that's it, or this is the most discounted we've ever been relative to global assets ever and probably will ever be. And basically, it's such a small market that they've got this thing just straddled and sandwiched right now so that they can accumulate spot positions in it. And then once that happens, they'll finally let it go. There's really no other way to make sense of the price action that we're seeing right now. It's not like what we've seen before. It's decoupled completely from every other global asset or index that I watch. I'm sure there's some obscure, you know, stock index in some small country that I don't even know the name of that maybe is doing poorly as well. But generally, like everything is pumping right now. We've decoupled from everything in the worst possible way, right? So either we are at the greatest discount we have ever had, and it's because the big boys got in late. They missed the boat. So they are literally pulling the boat back into the dock, holding it there so they can all get in, and then it goes off to sea, or it's over, right? You kind of got to be at peace with both because it's not adding up right now. And truly, it doesn't make any sense. We are so cheap relative to everything else. And we are somewhat in an adjacent industry to like AI. Think about this with like AI agents. What are they going to do? Like go into a bank with their ID and open up a checking account? What's the internet of the like, what's the currency of the internet? What payment rail is it going to be? AI agents are going to be a big thing. They're already a big thing, right? Like, what's your agent going to use online? Your swarm of agents. They're going to use a credit card. They're going to use like, how are they going to KYC? No, they're not. They're going to use crypto, right? They're going to
Yeah.
have a MetaMask. They're going to have some Web3 wallet, you know, whatever it is. They're going to be trading and managing, you know, your portfolio on Hyperliquid or, you know, whatever it is, right? And they're not going to KYC and get a driver's license and do a, you know, Stripe Express or one of these, you know, bank things. They're not going to scan their face. You're going to dump Tether or a shitcoin into a Web3 wallet and you send them off to go. right? Like we should be doing better than we're doing right now. People should be speculating on the currency of the internet in the age of AI and AI agents, but they're not. Or they are, but something is holding us back right now. And by the way, I don't think it's the threat of quantum computing. I don't buy that. But
No, I'm in the camp, and I'll for the audience, I'm firmly in the camp that I'm positioned that we're coming back, and there's going to be a roaring next wave of this. I hope it's an evolved wave, and that we see a lot more evolution in what the builds look like, especially with AI and AI agents evolving at the speed they are, and people inside our industry utilizing them so heavily and utilizing 402s, utilizing all these different protocols so that the payment rails are all set up and these agents can do everything they need to do. I mean, even Visa and all these giant, if you look at the news and how the infrastructure is being positioned, all of the big payment rails are getting involved in stable coins, are it feels that it is preparing the infrastructure for massive amounts of liquidity to move around. And I do think I had this speculation earlier this year, and I still believe it is we saw Claude and these AIs roll out so that these AI agents are much better than ever before. And then we saw a lot of people kind of come out with some little things and they made money and whatever. They sold their subscriptions. But then there's a lot of people that went quiet. And I think we'll see coming in September, October, November, later this year, I think we'll see some companies pop out that are way further along than we ever thought, because the pacing that AI mixed with good builders and the scale they could scale up their companies at to build with was
yeah,
way faster and way bigger than we expected. And that
yeah.
we actually see much more advanced companies coming out that are finally able to put us on the radar again in a more healthy way by people being impressed by what that thing is.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I hope you're right on that. I hope that there's a lot happening
Yeah,
right
I
now
hope so too.
because I mean, a friend asked me, he's like, "What's going on in crypto right now? Like, is there anything cool?" And I was like, "No, there's like Hyperliquid and that's it. Like, I don't really see anything else that's popping out at me right now." But I really hope that I hope there's a convergence of AI and crypto in a big way, and not just like the AI crypto tokens or whatever, but I mean like real like utility where like crypto is given a real utility as, the currency of the internet, like truly the currency of the internet, and it's just such an obvious path for AI to utilize. I mean, that would spark something tremendous. Like if that happened and intersected at the same time as like stablecoin regulations and like stablecoins become a lot more, normal. Um, yeah, I mean, things could get out of hand in a big way, and like I said, and I truly mean this, like you're buying ETH here is like you're either buying like internet companies, tech companies like Microsoft, Netflix, whatever, Google, like 15 years ago, or you're literally buying vaporware. There's no in between. Like either it's going to click and it's going to click in a big way, or pack it up. You missed the AI boom in stocks and crypto's never coming back. I truly mean that. Like I don't think there's an in between the way things are going. The stage is set. The regulation is passing. It's going to pass. You really aren't going to get a better environment than this for like innovation, for tech innovation. And crypto's just sitting here, waiting to be given like the best utility and roadmap ever. So I will say I lean more in the camp that we are the most undervalued we've ever been relative to every other global asset, literally everything. And you're never going to get a better opportunity. But while you're in the storm, it feels awful. Like I sit here and I look at price all day long. It's miserable. Like I'm looking at price right now to the left of the stream. It's miserable. Bitcoin looks terrible. ETH looks even worse. Like everything looks awful. But one day you wake up and like a 10% candle changes everything. And then you trend for months on end, and you can't miss that day. That's the thing. One day changes everything. If you decide not to show up on that day, you could miss everything. Like you just gotta keep showing up because one day
Yeah,
it'll pop.
and know what, and don't wait for the pop to position. That's the other thing people do. Oh, I paid Bitcoin. It was on a 1 month run and you're spending the whole month chasing every alt that's rocketing underneath you and you're just buying the tops of everything rotating between them. That's I feel like the other crypto curse is, ooh, is it going to go down forever? Is it going to do it? I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. And you get all the way to 60. You get all the way to the price it costs miners to run their facilities, the break even cost, which is tends to be somewhat the bottom,
Yeah.
and you still don't buy it. And then it's like, and then you get up to 76. You're like, "Ah, but I should have bought 60. Like
That's where
I'm
we're
going to
at
wait."
right now. Like, the average, I don't know. I mean, depends on the size of the miner, but I mean, the average cost to mine a Bitcoin right now for some of the large companies is like where we already just bottomed, like mid to
Yeah.
low 60s, right? I
Yeah.
don't
And
know.
it hasn't dropped really below that. The thing that always gets me so interested or is so interesting is how much it sticks to the cycle. Like whether you believe it or not, like it's
Yeah.
even if we take 3 more months and then we do see the move, it's the exact thing it does almost every time, which is about 3 to 6 months and about this range to the next 3 months. It tends to find its bottoming price, and then the end of the bear pivots towards beginning the bull. And if we see that again, which October 6th, I think it was within 3 days, was the projected top date based on the actual cycle. And what do we
Yeah.
have? We have a catastrophic event that happens right at where it's supposed to be. And I don't want to believe it every time, but at this point, what my buddies always says, he's like, I'm going to believe it until it doesn't play out. And I have to almost, as much as I have to fight my inner instincts, I just have to be that way now. So I'm like, well, if it goes before now, I'm good. But if it takes another 3 to 4 months, 5 months to kind of finish bottoming, then I've got to be good with that too, because it just keeps following this cycle.
Yeah. It's the longer you're in crypto, the more spooky it gets.
Yeah.
Um, like you just mentioned, the cyclical timing from bear market bottom to global cycle peak was like, 1,065 days. It's been the same for like the past 10 years, right? Past 3 cycles. It's crazy, right? I've got some tweets, back 2 years ago being like, oh yeah, like October is gonna be like the top for Bitcoin. I kind of faded that myself because I was like, all right, something's wrong here because ETH hasn't pumped yet and like nothing but
Yeah.
Bitcoin's pumped. So like I kind of faded my own like 4-year cycle, analysis. But I do think your friend is onto something. Like as long as it keeps working, like it deserves enough respect, from everybody. Like it's worked now like 3 full multi-year cycles in a row over like 12 years, right? You should probably pay attention to that. It doesn't mean it's going to work forever. It most likely won't. But for now, yeah, it demands your respect, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, and I think everybody is just overly in a general sense. I think a lot of people are way too eager to box Bitcoin or box price action into something that's happened in the past. And I think that's a major kind of Achilles heel, which I succumb to that as well because TA is really like one, you're trying to speculate from a probabilistic standpoint, like what's the most probable next move, like up or down, or I guess sideways. But how do you come to those conclusions, right? You look at what's happened in the past largely and say, okay, these conditions were present here and here and here. What happened after these conditions were present these 3 historical times? So I understand that urge, but the market that we are in right now is so materially different than the market that we were in 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, like the idea of a Bitcoin ETF or like passive flows from like DATs and even like there's exchanges that didn't even exist back then that exist now. Like
Yeah.
it's not even the same market. It's the same asset. It's the same asset. I would even argue it's maybe a different asset. Like Bitcoin is very different than it was 10 years ago, right? And or at least how people view Bitcoin is different than it was 10 years ago. And if they view it differently, they trade it differently and they hold it differently or their convictions different and then the players are different and the players are implementing these yield products, and like you can buy it through your Schwab account, and like you can put it in a retirement account, and like you can pay with it, and there's countries that own it, and like you can go to those countries like El Salvador and spend it, and like you got to also look at it and go like, all right, how much of this is a coincidence that this worked again? And how much of it is like this is one giant mathematical program that's being run and it's just going to last forever? We've had I think the real issue is sample size. We have 3 true previous cycles for Bitcoin. So it's not like we have 50 and it's worked 50 out of 50 times. We have 3. It's a very small sample size, but I will say it's a really interesting coincidence at a minimum. But I will end that rant with this. I hate being boxed into the 4-year cycle. I think
Yeah.
it kind of clips our wings a little bit. Like, it's also possible that people thought we were going to top again at 1,065 days. So we had more sell pressure than we should have in October. Obviously, we had 1010. Thank you, Binance. And at the same time, it's like, if people think something is going to happen, and enough people think it's going to happen, then it actually does happen, right? But talking about this discount relative to other assets and stock indexes, it's like we're boxed into this crappy 4-year cycle, and like we're missing the greatest technological boom that we've had since the advent of the internet, right? It's like it would be great if we just weren't boxed into this like arbitrary 4-year cycle and we could just trend when tech stocks trend, or like when liquidity conditions are present, right? So I do really, in some sense, I hope that our cycles are no longer tethered to like, you know, 3 years of up, 1 year down forever. That'd be a major bummer. Like I don't think that's a good thing. As fun and predictable as the parabolas are, that's ultimately a really bad thing for Bitcoin.
Well, it's really interesting too, because you go into, if it's about 60, let's just say it's 60K to produce a Bitcoin. And that means coming up here in the next halving, it's about 120K, give or take. We're using the number 60. It's somewhere in that ballpark. Well, pretty soon the rubber hits the road. It's either that's just not a realistic price to be able to mine these things at, or
Yeah.
it will always, until proven differently, make sure that it's above, substantially at least at some point, the price of producing the asset. So I think this cycle, to me, this next coming up bull cycle will tell us a lot, because 120 to produce a single Bitcoin is 60 is a lot, but 120 is a lot. And that's 120, 240, you're like 5, 1 million. That's only 10,
I don't
15
really
years
see
away.
energy getting any cheaper. Like 3 to 5 cents per kilowatt hour, whatever the average is. It's like, what are we gonna like? Is there 0 point energy? It's like you're right about that, Brandon. Like that's a big number. That's a really big number. So it's like, how does that resolve? Like, how does it stay afloat? Well, basically, there would be some giant minor capitulation where like everybody turns their machines off, and then the cost to mine becomes cheaper. Or Bitcoin just goes absolutely nuts and like goes to 300K and then crashes to 120 or whatever, and then it's sustainable. But you're right about that. Like you're 100% right about that. Like that's a big number. We got a little bit of time, but you're right.
It tells you,
It'll be a defining cycle for sure.
if you believe you've got yourself, write your ticket, you've got about a 2x guaranteed. Like if it's going to at least hit the cost, you've got almost a 2x. If you believe that it will for sure get over the cost, which let's call it even 50%, you've got more than a 2x. So again, that goes back to, if you're a believer in this industry, I believe you've got to have, if you've got any reasonable size portfolio, you've got to have a foundation of Bitcoin. And I just think too many people don't have it set up like a stock portfolio. I'm not saying you have to, you can go full DGen, whatever, but if you believe and you're looking at it as an investment class, like you would with your other stuff, or like you said, with a portfolio, it does. Too many people don't have a couple blue chips, like some foundational things in there where when the market's good, they are going. They're like, oh, I got to accumulate at this 1 million market cap or lower because I want to get more of this blue chip or whatever. And so they just stay in this spec. Oh, Bitcoin's going to go 2x. Well, this other coin will go 85x. It got proven wrong this last cycle. That's not the
Yeah.
case. It might not move at all. It might be like ETH, where in 2021 you hold ETH from 2021 to 2026. It'd be at 100K to 85K at the peak to now. And if you held Nvidia, a major company, you would have got 16x returns. And who didn't have 100K in ETH during the NFT insanity? Like, multiple people could have been like, I'll sell one of my NFTs and go into Nvidia, one of the biggest companies even back then, and gotten a 16x crypto stock. It was, when I saw that stat, it was really disgusting to me because I just thought,
Yeah.
wow, that was such a realistic play. That
So
wasn't
realistic.
some micro cap stock that I pulled some miracles. That's like one of the biggest companies putting 100K into, and just
Piss off.
1.6.
Go live your life, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. No, you're
That's when you
100%
hate
right.
yourself. You
You're
look at it, you
you're
go, "Ah."
Yeah, I mean, I should have retired 100 times over by now, like, with all those, like, really obvious rotations, but it's so it's so hard to see the full picture when you're right in the middle of it sometimes, you know? It's like you're in the NFT bubble, you're, like, seeing all the innovation and adoption and the headlines and the, like, celebrity endorsements, and, like, you're making all this money, and it's like, you never think the music is gonna turn off, right? And the only way you learn that is by the music turns off and you get a bucket of cold water thrown on your face. Like, that is real, and that happens to everybody. Like, I'm serious. I don't know. I think I just got blurry there. Let's see if it'll refocus. Sorry, my camera just got really blurry.
Yeah, I saw it just went.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see
There we
if
go.
that'll. There we
Locked
go.
in.
Okay. I think I like moved and it
Boys
unfocused from
Club
my.
lock is clear in the background. That's a sign.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said this before, everybody's gone through that. Like, there's not a single there's no way to learn, there's no way to grow, there's no way to make it or even make money in financial markets unless you've gotten your teeth kicked in.
Yeah.
But you're right about the obvious plays, man. Like, you got to diversify a little bit. You got to take some money out, and even just like if you made 10 grand and that was a lot for you, right? Go dump some of that in, like, a Roth, go dump some of it in just like some little nest egg somewhere. Like, just do it, even 1% of what you have, 2%, just something, right?
And keep
Nvidia, right? Whatever it is.
cash too. Like you said it earlier, have stable coins, have cash, some sort of cash bubble on hand, so you don't have to rotate your positions. If you're fully allocated, you're gonna have to rotate if something comes up, and there's always something. Like, there's
Yeah.
somebody's gonna tell you something, and you're gonna go, "I've been holding this thing," and it's gonna test your conviction. "Oh, I've been in this for 2 years and it hasn't moved, and I don't have cash to put it in this, but this is a really good." That's when you get burned. When you don't have cash and you don't have the ability to take some shots slash pay for your life if something goes wrong, the emotion of having stables on hand, having cash on hand on top of your portfolio, it's takes so much off of you, because the stress, the emotion, for anybody who's been in the market, that's what ruins you. That's what makes you make a decision that you absolutely will be furious about in the future. And those can stack. It becomes gambling mentality real quick. You miss on a play because you rotate from another, then you got to make up that play and make up that play. Before
Mhm.
you know it, you're so deep into your account, shoveling into new plays, that you blow everything up, and then you're just thinking, "What did I just do?" Now I have now I have nothing going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super real, and I've done that. I've done that before. We all have, right?
Yeah.
And something that you mentioned earlier, I think maybe you were talking with Ragsy about it, like this idea of you buy something that you believe is, a value or a discount or priced correctly, it doubles, you take your initials out, and then you leave the moon bag. That strategy alone right there is everything, right? If you're playing like in the casino, that strategy right there is everything. And that's just a crypto thing. Like you don't necessarily want to do that with stocks. It's a bit
Yeah.
different. Um, One, it's more rare you're going to hit a 2x with stocks, like, much more rare, but like you're playing altcoins, you're playing perps, whatever it is, you double, like pay yourself a little bit, take a nibble. You know what I mean? Like that is critical. And I'll tell you, like the amount of times that I've done the opposite and I'll be up 2x and then I'll double my size because I have a free trade, oh, like my cost basis is 10 cents and it's at 20 cents right now. I'll double the size. My cost basis will be 15 cents. I'm still up a ton, like I got all this wiggle room. It works 2 out of 10 times, maybe,
Yeah.
it works, but when it works, you feel awesome, but like it usually doesn't work, just
Yeah. It's
yeah.
something that I'm even working on constantly is that it's really greed. You have to fight your own greed. And don't think of it as some like super dirty thing. Everybody has it. The core of everybody's bad decisions in this market is greed. Whether you want to admit that that's the feeling or not, it truly is. When you get a 2x and I do the same thing and I double in, it's because I'm greedy in that moment. If I don't take profits, if I don't, it's all based on I want more. I think I've got more. It's that inner degeneracy that you have to fight against. And the winners in this market, you may not think it, but the people who are just absolute clockwork discipline absolutely outpace people by millions over multiple years. You can get a 2x to 5x and take the profits on that every single time. And your discipline every single time pulling your initials and moonbagging over time, you will substantially outperform debatably 99.99% of this market that is going to push it to the 3x. They're going to push it to the 10x. They're going to say, "Oh, I needed to get to this round number. Like once it hits a
Yeah.
million, I'm out." Like
Yeah.
it's that. So I know we're pressed up against your end of time here. So I want to give you a chance to say anything about your brand, different products, anything you want to advertise coming out of this, because I'm a big fan of what you guys do over there.
Oh, well, thanks, Brand. I appreciate you having me. Yeah, I guess I would just leave with check us out on X, check us out on YouTube. We just launched a new product for algorithmic trading. We basically make it as simple as you can go there right onto our site, bbtraderx.com. And if you have no experience with algorithmic trading at all, like literally zero, you can go from nothing to a fully automated custom strategy that you build with our AI builder right on the site, have it launched
Wow.
literally in under 30 minutes. And if that's a little intimidating, even you can go on there. I published a lot of my strategies. You can follow them 100% for free. So you can go on there, click to follow. We don't do any profit sharing or anything like that. Like if it makes money for you, you keep that. So yeah, I mean, check it out, guys. Seriously, we've got people publishing bots on there. You can also get paid to publish your bots that you make on our site, which is pretty cool. But yeah, brand new. It's fun. Send me a message on there, guys. There's like a social media component to it as well. So I'm pretty
Awesome.
excited about it in this new age of like AI trading. It's fun. I'll tell you, it's really, really fun to have something scanning the markets for you while you're golfing or sleeping or whatever. But
Absolutely. Well, we definitely follow Max on his socials. Follow at Because Bitcoin. Follow at Max Because Bitcoin, because BTC. Follow all the socials. Follow the YouTube. If you're new to the show, follow at the Dazzle Novak. That's my account running the show. And then I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, The Arena. We've had about 150 people live on that platform, listening, commenting, really bullish on everything you're saying. Everybody on X. This was our first stream that also went out to YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on, I don't even know. I feel like there's a lot of things at the top of my screen right now, but wanted to shout that out. And then also, if you are participating, there is copy trading on the Arena. If you're looking for tools to get an edge, there's a great opportunity here with Because Bitcoin to get more familiar, to get educated, to tap into some of their tools. maybe it makes you the perfect copy trading account on the arena. So amazing. Appreciate your time today. Definitely hope we can have you on later this year. Check back in, see if the market's turned around, and we can have a little bit more fun.
I'd come back anytime, Brandon. It's great hanging with you. Really fun show.
Absolutely, Max. Have an amazing one, and we will see all of you soon. We will be back on Friday at noon PST.